Islam. Praise Allah. Honors Prophet. High honors each and every one of you. Praise Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night, by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Praise Allah. Happy Tuesday. April 2008. April 28th, 2026. Praise be to Allah. Honors to you. If your first time here, what I do here is I take a reading of the Holy Quran of More Science on America, divine prepared by no prophet Drew Ali, by guiding his Father, God of Law, great God of the universe, redeemed man from a sinful and fallen state of man back to his plain life with Father God Allah. What I do is I read one chapter, and then I give my understanding on that chapter. And the understanding that I provide is strictly my understanding. It's not the understanding of More Science on America in its entirety. It's not the understanding of any other members of the More Science of America. It's my entirety. My understanding that Allah has blessed me with. Praise be to Allah. Allah has blessed each and every one of us with our own understanding, our own ability to think, various levels. Praise be to Allah. And it's our responsibility to share what we know, to assist each other in the uplifting and fallen humanity according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I apologize for some background noise. Sound like my animals outside being a little bit rambunctious today, so apologize for that ahead of time. Today we'll be reading from chapter 12. Jesus teaches the calm people at a spring, tells them how to attain eternal happiness. In silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the servant caste were near the place. And Jesus saw the hard-drawn lines of toil on every brow and every hand. There was no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. And Jesus spoke to one and said, "Why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life?" The man replied, "We scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and bless the day when we cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of dead." And Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers, and he said, "Toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back at toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you?" The man replied, "Of heaven we have heard. When it's so far away, we must live so many lives before we reach that place." And Jesus said, "My brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away. It is not a place of metes and bounds. It's not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your hearts, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then the toil will be no cruel task." The people were amazed and gathered close to hear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God, Allah, about the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joy. And Jesus spake a parable. He said, "A certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor. By constant toil, he scarcely could provide food to keep his family from want. One day, a miner who could see beneath the soil and passing on his way saw this poor man in his unfruitful field. He called the weary toiler and said, 'My brother, know you not that just below the surface of your barren field rich treasures lie concealed? You plow and sow and reap in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. This wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you dig away the rocky soil and delve down deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught.' The man believed. The miner surely knows, and I'll find the treasures hidden in my field." And then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth he found a mine of gold. And Jesus said, the sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains and burning sands and rocky soils, are doing what the fathers did, not dreaming that they can do all else. Behold, a master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth. Underneath the rocky soil, carnal things are treasures that no man can count, that in the heart richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. And then the people said, make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. And Jesus opened up the way. The toiler saw another side of life, and toil became a joy. Praise be to Allah. Praise Allah. This chapter right here is one of the shorter ones in the Holy Crown of More Science to America in regards to our chapters on Jesus. So it's impactful. It's a lot in there. Again, a powerful chapter. Chapter 12. So Jesus is still in India at this time, it seems. He's still in India. He's around some people who are Buddhists. And it says Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to attain eternal happiness. So he's talking to the common people, not the rulers and the rich, but the common people at a spring. Said, in silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the servant caste were near the place. So he was near a flowing spring and he was meditating. It was a holy day. He was connecting with Allah, and a lot of the servant caste were near the place. You know, they were enjoying their day, maybe because it's a holy day. They might have had that day off, and they were enjoying it. And then it continues on, it says, and Jesus saw the hard-drawn lines of toil on every brow and every hand. There is no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. So he looked at the people. He seen the condition of the people. He seen all the stress on them, in their face, in their hands. How none of them had any joy in their face. None of them was happy. No, they might have been off, but all of them was just thinking about work. Toil means work. And Jesus spoke to one and said, why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life? So he's trying to figure out, what was going on. Why was they all so sad? And he asked him, how you know happiness in life? Jesus was concerned about these people. And as anybody, you go to the doctors, they ask you questions, like what's going on, what you've been feeling, etc. So Jesus is administering to these people by starting off by saying, why are you all so sad? How you know happiness in life? So he's trying to establish a baseline, see what's going on with them. Says, the man replied, we scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and bless the day when we cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha city of the dead. So when Jesus asked him about happiness, the man replied, we scarcely know the meaning of that word. He's saying they work to live and hope for nothing else but work. So, a lot of people is in that condition today. They wake up, they go to work, they work all day, they come back home, they hope they don't get fired. They go to, do the rest of their day, they go to bed, then they continue on. And a lot of people, when he says, and bless the day when we cease our toil and lay down to rest in Buddha city of dead, a lot of people here in America working for retirement. A lot of people, may not ever be able to retire due to financial situation that they find themselves in. And, it's understanding with that Jesus, he's trying to minister to these people. So it says, and hope for nothing else but toil. So he's saying we work to live and hope for nothing else but work. And bless the day when we cease our work and lay down to rest in Buddha's city of the dead. So basically they work until they die. And when they die, they'll rest and they'll be in Buddha's city of the dead. So that's must be like their form of heaven, Buddha's city of the dead or something like that. And Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and love for these poor toilers. And he said, So when Jesus heard that, it stirred him up inside, made him feel a type of way. It's like when you see something sad, and it make you feel some type of way. Or like you see those sad commercials on TV, those stir up something in your heart, you know, it's Allah within you, because Allah recognizing Allah. And it's like, Allah seeing another person, Allah seeing, this person in the state. So it stirs up something in you because we all connected, we all connected by cords. So when one of us ain't doing well, the other person who looking at it is going to be affected. As hard as people try to not care about others, it's impossible not to care about others. Jesus said, toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back of toil, then all the life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you? So Jesus here is saying, work should not make a person sad. We should be happiest when we work. And he says, when hope and love are back of toil, then all life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. So hope and love, hope, is that belief that it can be better, it will be better. And love, what are you working for? A lot of people, are working for their families. A lot of people are working for their futures. And that, when you combine that with hope and love, you hope what you're doing right now, and you have love, the power of love behind it. Prophet goes on, he says that all life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. And Prophet also calling on us to find a job that we enjoy, that we want to do. And he calling on us to know that a heaven is for us when we do find these things. Then it said, the man replied, of heaven we have heard, but when it's so far away, we must live so many lives before we reach that place. So man say, yeah, heaven we heard, but it's far away. And we must live so many lives before we reach that place. You think about reincarnation, etc. And Jesus said, my brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away. It's not a place of meets and bounds. It's not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. So the prophet's in there saying, it's about your mind state. What are you thinking about when you're working? Are you thinking about how horrible it is, how much you don't want to be there, etc.? So the prophet is calling on us to understand our mind. He says it's a state of mind. It's a state of mind. So like when you're working out, you can think about how horrible it feels, when you're working out per se, but that's, you making it a hell instead of a heaven. You think about, yeah, it hurts when I'm working out, but I know the benefits that's going to be behind this. Then becomes, a heaven for you. The prophet said, Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. So the prophet is letting us know the creative power that we possess. He letting us know that Allah never made a heaven. Allah never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. So what we do with our lives determine if we're going to be living in a hell or if we're going to be living in a heaven, or if we're going to live in somewhere in between those two places, And he's saying we are creators and make our own. Then the prophet says, now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your hearts, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then it will be no cruel task. So he said, just open up the windows of your hearts. So you think about your heart and having a window right here. Just opening it up. Then the heaven gonna come in. Kind of how the prophet talked about how we be fed from the ethers of our native plane. A heaven will come. Like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then it will be no cruel task. So he's saying, when we put love, allow love like when you're working, you think about the good that you can do for others with your work. And then you think about how good you can do your work. And when you do those two things, you create a heavenly condition, because at that point you're working for all positive. You're not working just to do it. You're not working just to get it done. You're working out of love, trying to help somebody, and by doing that, you're going to be recognized too because of your work. Prophet said, then it continues on and said, the people were amazed and gathered close to hear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God, Allah, about the heaven that men can make on earth, about the boundless joy. So they was excited, they was happy to hear this. They hadn't heard about how they can create a heaven on earth. They had just always heard, they had to pretty much work and die and then be reborn, and maybe work and die, then be reborn, and go on and doing all that, and then they reach their nirvana or their heaven. But Prophet said they could do that right now with the proper state of mind. Prophet says, then it says, and Jesus spake a parable. He said, a certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor. So he's starting out letting us know a man had a field. The soil was hard and poor. Now this is a parable, so he's telling an inner story. Now, we could think about that certain man as us, you and I, and we have a field. The soul is hard and poor. That could be our physical bodies and our soul, right? Like our physical body and our soul. And then just think about those two things, our physical body and our soul, and how hard, it could be to change your physical body sometimes, how hard it can be to keep your soul, up high, to keep your thoughts up high. Prophet says, by constant toil, he scarcely could provide food to keep his family from want. So let us know, this field that this man had, he couldn't really grow nothing, no fruits and vegetables, no beans, etc. He could barely provide no lettuce, no spinach, by constant toil, by constant work. And that's kind of like how a lot of us find ourselves in this world today. You go to work constantly, but you still not able to get ahead and keep your family from want, or keeping them even worse, from need. Prophet continues on, he says, and then you think about that though with us, like our physical and our soul, constantly working on your physical, you constantly working on your soul. But if you're not doing it out of the right mind state, you always going to be wanting something. Like if you trying to get in better shape because you see somebody else in better shape, you're not doing it out of love for you. You doing it out of vanity, trying to look better than the next person. Your soul is responsible for thinking, understanding, reasoning, willing, comprehending, etc. If you trying to learn something just so you could show off to somebody else, like, oh, I know this, then you always gonna want, because then you're gonna want to learn something else in order to show off for somebody else. Prophet continues on, he says, one day a miner who could see beneath the soil and passing on his way saw this poor man in some fruit field. So, that's easy to understand. A miner, they work with the earth, they know things about the earth. That's their field of study. Then in here, it's the prophet, he's saying he passed by and he saw us in our fruitful field, working with our bodies and our souls in a fruitful way. And it says, he called the weary toiler and said, my brother, know you not that just below the surface of your barren field, rich treasures lie concealed? So he's letting them know, like, hey, this patch of land on here, reason, it's not growing, but up underneath, You know, it's a lot of treasures underneath there, you know, the treasures of the earth, etc. And that's what the prophet is saying to us, you know, up underneath our body, our soul, we got the spirit of Allah. And you think about that from the physical, where's the nearest place you can meet Allah is in the heart. You know, your physical body houses, you know, your brain, and it houses your heart. Your brain is where your soul reside, and your heart is where Allah reside. The spirit reside within you. So the spirit is within your heart, Allah, and your brain is your personal soul, and then your physical houses both of them. So deep down, you know, when you think about the deepest part of you, you think about, you know, that innerness of you, your heart. That's where Allah reside. That's the prophet saying, you know, just below the surface of your barren field, rich treasures are lie concealed. The gift of Allah, knowing Allah reside within you, is right there. It lies concealed, though. He says, you plow and sow and reap in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. So he letting the man know, you know, you working and all that in a scanty way, you know, you doing this, you doing that, but it's not really doing much for you. And that's how we are in life. You know, we do this, we accomplish this, we accomplish that. We maybe mess up here, we mess up there. And a lot of the time, we don't even know why we doing it. We just doing it to do it, or just because somebody told us to do it, and not even knowing the real reason. And we tread upon, you know, the inner power of Allah. You know, we don't even think about, a lot of us don't even think about the power of Allah within our day-to-day, you know, the force of Allah within us. We don't even think about that in our day-to-day because we so stuck on the work or whatever. The prophet says, this wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you dig away the rocky soil and delve down deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught. So again, this is, you know, the miners letting the farmer know, like, hey, if you dig away the rocky soil, get rid of all the rocky soil and delve down deep into the earth, dig down deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught. And why is that? Because once he digs down into the earth, the work he's doing to get down there, he's going to find a mine of gold and silver and diamonds, etc. A lot of y'all seen that meme where it's to do with the pickaxe. And like he got a whole bunch of work done. And like if he would have took one more hit, he would have found all these precious stones and diamonds and things. Same concept. So prophet, you know, in this parable, he's saying this farmer, if he would dig down deep, the work that he do dig down deep is not going to be for naught. You know, he just won't be working the surface no more till the soil, you know, the soil's up here and the treasure is just down here. So he's tilling it, you know, he's turning the soil, you know, he's trying to plant stuff that's not working for him. It's for naught. It's not growing nothing. Prophet saying, tear all that away and dig down deep, get up in there. And then that's where it's at. And you think about our bodies, you know, a lot of us, you know, he calling us to meditate, you know, like he was doing here. He was meditating when these people came across him. He's meditating. What are you doing when you meditating? Think of your body as the soil. You know, think about your soul a little bit deeper than the soil. And then you got your spirit, your heart, the spirit of Allah within. And that's them rich treasures, you know, that power, that almightiness, that connectedness, the omnipotence of Allah reside within. So he's saying, you know, we don't need to keep on just doing all these things every day in our lives. Like if I'm just going to the gym just to look good, you know, I'm not thinking about, okay, I'm going to the gym. If I need this strength to save somebody, I got it. You know, some people go to the gym and be like, oh, I look good. All these people gonna like me. But some people go to the gym and be like, you know, if I'm this strong or I could run for this long, if somebody need me, I could save them. And it's a difference in that. You no longer tilling the soul for naught. You no longer just turning the surface of yourself, you know, and that's that meditation too, you know. You got to dig down deep into yourself. Just don't stay on the surface level. Dig down deep into yourself. Really understand yourself. Look at your mind. Look at your body. Look at the things that cause you to do this, things that cause you to do that. Look at things that cause you happiness, cause you sadness, and figure them out. So you're not constantly just throughout the day, oh, why did that upset me? Or, oh, why did that make me happy? Like, if you take time to meditate and get to be one with Allah, you learn those things. Allah will teach you those things when you stop and listen to Allah. Allah will let you know things about your mind, things about your body, things about your soul. Prophet said, the man believed, the miner surely knows, and I'll find the treasures hidden in my field. So this is saying, the man, he believed. He believed what the miner said. And then y'all can't see it, but it says, and I will find the treasures hidden in my field, ? So he still is a question a little bit, but he believed, belief, faith, fruition. Belief is what man thinks perhaps is true. Faith is what man knows is truth. Fruition is last, and this is man himself, the truth. So the man was on the stage of belief here. He was like, hey, maybe this is true what this guy's telling me, what this miner's telling me. So that's like us, we hear Jesus, we hear a Noble Drew Ali, we hear Muhammad, we hear Buddha, we hear Confucius, and we hear the message like, yeah, they do know, huh? And then I will find Allah within me, huh? You start to believe that, you start to wonder that, you start to think about that. And then it says, and then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth, he found a mine of gold. So the man, he said, all right, I believe, I got faith, so he started on his work. He started digging away. He dug away the rocky soil, He knew, and then once he digged down deep in the earth, he found the mine of gold. So he knew it was true. He had the mine of gold at that point. And that's us, we dig away the rocky soil, dig away this carnal flesh, dig away the carnal mind, get rid of that, go through it, don't dwell on it and keep on turning over and over, go through it. And then once you get to that innermost of yourself, you find Allah within. And then once you find Allah within, you can see, Allah everywhere else. Not just within yourself, but then you start to see Allah in other people. You start to see Allah in the creation in general, and how it's our duty to be responsible. The prophet continues on, he says, and Jesus said, the sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains and burning sands and rocky soils, are doing what the fathers did, not dreaming that they can do all else. So the prophet is saying, men is doing that. They're toiling on hard on desert plains, think about it, today, so much stuff that humanity does that just is for naught, a lot of times, it's not really making any progress. And why? Because we're not thinking deep enough, we're not going deep enough as a humanity, really trying to understand our connection with each other, understand our connection with Allah, understand our connection with the earth. A lot of us just stay on the surface level and say, hey, I'm living today. I made it through today. I'm going to do what I do tomorrow. Hopefully I make it through tomorrow, Hopefully I live a life that's not painful, Hopefully I live a life where I can afford the things I want, etc. And we don't really think about the future, or our connection to one another, or how if we work together more, we could all have this combined happiness. That thought isn't thought about enough. Prophet continues on, he says, behold, the master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth underneath the rocky soil, carnal things, treasure no man can count. Again, that's the prophet, he's speaking in the, he's letting it be known, he's talking about Buddha, he's talking about Confucius, the prophets who came before him, they let people know, they told them, you dig away, underneath this flesh, you deny the physical. Like Buddha, he denied the physical. Buddha went through a lot. First, you see a skinny Buddha, you see a fat Buddha, you see a Buddha that's all beat up, You see all these different types of Buddhas, and the reason why is because when Buddha was trying to find God, when he was trying to find Allah, he thought that if he didn't eat, he would find Allah. He thought maybe if he overate, he would find Allah. He thought if he harmed his body to a certain point, he would find Allah. So he tested all these extremes, and he found that Allah wasn't in none of them. And he finally found Allah when he just sat down and he thought on himself, and he thought about his inner world, and he thought about his connection with the outer world through that, and when he did that, he found, like the prophet said, the rocky soul, carnal things. Carnal things is, not eating enough, eating more than enough. Harming yourself. Like, I'm surprised it's not a super buff Buddha somewhere where Buddha thought, it probably is, where Buddha thought that he could find God by being in the best physical shape that he could be in. I wouldn't doubt it. It makes sense, because that is like a carnal thing, it's related to vanity if it goes there. But the point being that once you get up underneath all that and understand Allah reside within, and the connection that we got to each and every one of us, and that love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice that reside within all of us, it makes every day a joy. Like today, it was a brother, he was in the car, he's passenger, and I walked my dog, and he was in the car, and I looked, I gained a little acknowledgement, and he kind of still had like a stale face on us, we still had a stale face, and I just thought, he must be having a bad day or something, but hopefully him seeing me smile, give him recognition, give him acknowledgement, hopefully that, started turning something in him, let him get in a better vibration. Prophet continues on, he says, and that's, treasures that we can't count. We don't know how we influence other people's lives until they let us know, where we see it directly in. A lot of times just a kind word or a friendly acknowledgement can do a lot for people, throughout the day. And the prophet says that in the heart the richest gems abound, that he who will may open the door and find them all. So in the heart, what's in the heart, where is the nearest place for me? Allah is in the heart. Why I always say that is from the questionnaire of the Holy Crown of More Science to America. And the first question is, who made you? Allah. The second question, who is Allah? Allah's Father Universe. The third question, can we see him? No. The fourth question, where is nearest place to meet him? In the heart. So when the prophet says that in the heart, the richest gems abound, he's talking about Allah, that in our heart, Allah resides, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. So we have to open our lives up to Allah. We have to seek Allah. We have to find Allah. We have to do the things that we need to do to open up that door. It's like, you think about it, it's like, say that door had a passcode on it. What's the password or the passcode? It's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You do those 5 things consistently, you're going to find Allah within. That's the passcode to get in, to open up the door. It's to live your life according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every time you come across a situation, you try your best to stop and think, how can I do this according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice? And sometimes you might only be able to do something according to love. Sometimes you might only be able to do something according to truth. So you might only be able to do something according to peace. But continue on and build to the point to where everything that you do, you're able to implement all 5 divine principles. Then the richest gems abound. You'll have that energy in you. You'll get that to do what you need to do for all of humanity, to do what you need to do for yourself, because when we do for others, we do for ourselves. So when we help out others, we helping out ourselves. When we seek to just help ourselves, we're going against our natural we're going against our naturalness of what we naturally are. You think about us as humanity. Don't no human live isolated like that. Not often. And when they put people in prison and they isolate them away from the rest of the population and put them in solitary confinement, that's really cruel and unusual punishment, because that doesn't happen unless somebody's forced to be like that. Whenever somebody, even, criminals, even the worst of the worst, PDFs, they group together, like, I'm just saying as an example of how much, being together is for people, that unity. Like, everybody always seeks it, regardless of what they doing. They gonna try to do it in a group, is what I'm saying. And the reason why is because we as a social people, that's a part of our DNA, is to be social. So why, when you do for others, when you're working with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, trying to uplift the people who might not think that they deserve it for themselves, or, showing them they don't got to be that way. And if they are that way, they need to change their ways. And they have to be ready for the consequences of being that. So they have to overcome. And the first way to do that is to look within. They have to be the person to stop doing what they're doing. Like, if you ever had somebody who deal with alcoholism, you can't force them to stop drinking. Unless, you can take physical control of them and lock them up in a room. Then you could, but that's not realistic. And if you do that to somebody, they gonna resent you more than anything. And as soon as they get free from up underneath your control, they would probably turn right back to the drink, just to spite you. People have to do things for themselves. But it's our responsibility to teach people how to use the tools, how to use the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, justice to do for themselves. Like I said, if you give somebody a fish, they eat for the day. But if you teach them how to fish, they can feed themselves for the rest of their lifetime. So when you're dealing with the people who have serious problems, serious social problems, serious carnal issues, carnal issues that you shouldn't have, that if you have them, you need to address them and get rid of them. You have to teach. These people have to know, because doing violence against them, harm against them, not only does so much, they have to have the tools to be able to fix themselves. So the prophet, he's saying that tool we use to do that, all of us, we got to look within our hearts. Got to find Allah within. And it says, and then the people said, make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within our heart. So the people wanted to know. And that's another point. They wanted to know. The people wanted to know. Jesus gave them a parable. He gave them an example. And then, that was the hook. Then it's like, yeah, we want to know more. So it does. And then it says, and Jesus opened the way. The toiler saw another side of life, and toil became joy. So Jesus sat down. He showed them how to meditate. Taught them about Allah some more. Let them know that when they work, if they's in the low, the servant class, they probably got family. They probably got young children at home or something. So where they find themselves at that moment, they got to work. You think about our family members a lot of times, they had to work, to provide for us. And they might have had to work in jobs that they didn't want to work in to provide for us. But when you're doing something like that, or you in that situation like that, you could think about the goodness that you're doing for your child. That hope and love, being able to provide food for your child, being able to keep them underneath shelter. And then you hope that your child see this example of your hard work, or your dedication to making sure that they was all right, and that they use their God-given gift to then continue on and go higher. And then in turn, once they, grow up and get higher, they be able to lift the parent up, in the later years of their life, Allah willing. So that's how the Torah become a joy. When we work for other people, and we, like, when I say work for other people in our family, like out of love. Like, think about, okay, I'm here at work, but with this money, I'll be able to help out this person. I'll be able to help out that person. Or if they need some help, I could help them, with this money. And just like, even before money was a super thing, like when we was just working, farming, okay, I'm out in the field all day, getting the tomatoes, whatever. That's so that everybody else can eat. Or like when we had to hunt, or whatever, I'm out here gathering up food. Or when we had to be going out into the forest, getting fruits, vegetables, wild grown stuff. We had to go out there. We had to put the camouflage on, make sure we didn't get seen by no big old tiger. We done found, grab it. Let's get back to the village so we can all eat tonight. That tool became a joy. Like, okay, yeah. Or, when you working out, like, all right, yeah, I could bench this much. I could deadlift this much. So I know, like, if my grandma or something, she fall on the ground or something, or she can't get up, I done deadlifted. I pick, easy. I'm not struggling. I'm going to get you up off the ground. Or if any situation, you need your muscles, just maybe you got to hurry up and move fast to catch some before it fall on the ground. When you working out, you could think about the positivity. Or, you jogging. Okay, I'm jogging. What if, my car break down and I got to hurry up and get somewhere? I'm jogging. I'm building my strength up so I could be ready to do that when I need to do it. And I think, oh, I'm jogging. Dang, I'm so tired. When this going to end? When I jog, I think about my forefathers in Northwest and Southwest Africa. And I also think about my forefathers here in America. There's points in time when we was down south in America, slave master would drop us off somewhere and say, hey, y'all need to have this field, this swamp cleared before sundown. If you not had this clear before sundown, I'm visiting some of y'all women. Imagine slave master tell you that. You out there down where somewhere deep in the Everglades, you having to clear out a little swamp. Got to deal with bull sharks, snakes, alligators. Think about them things when you working out. It turn you in and get you going. Praise be to Allah. That's if you Moorish, if you so-called call yourself black, etc., you could tap into that. Could tap into that in your DNA. Praise be to Allah. And like I said, when we was in Northwest and Southwest Africa, our forefathers, we had to run across the desert. We had to get up on a camel. We had to go up across the desert. We had to go out into the desert. Hey, we need some salt. Go ahead, get up on the camel, go out there into the desert. And get out there, got to dig a little area to get the salt up out from the desert. Deadlift it. This salt might weigh 300 pounds. You got to hoist it up, deadlift it. You got to pick it up, get it up, bow, strap it on the camel, tie it up. Boom, we got salt though. You know, we could then salt our fruit. We could salt our vegetables. We could salt, you know, our animal flesh if we had to be eating that at the point in time so it don't spoil. You know, tap into these. You know, for the European man, whatever it is, you know, maybe, you know, your forefathers was one of the abolitionists who's out there. I gotta hurry up, I gotta run. Because if I don't get there in time, the Klan about to kill this baby, that baby, that baby. And I'm a man of God. I believe in Jesus as my prophet. I know Jesus is my prophet, and my prophet Jesus would not want me to stand aside and allow these people to be slaughtered. You know, you think about that, you European man, European woman, you running, you know, you lifting, whatever, dig deep. You know, praise be to Allah. And again, Prophet said, and Jesus opened up the way. The toiler saw another side of life, and toil became a joy. Praise be to Allah. Again, that was from the Holy Crown of More Science to America, divinely prepared by no prophet, Drew Ali, by God and his Father, God Allah, great God of the universe, redeemed man from a sinful and fallen stage of man back to high explained life with his Father, God Allah. That was chapter 12. Jesus teaches calm people at a spring, tells them how to attain eternal happiness. And I'd be remiss if I didn't show the divine prophet, Prophet Drew Ali. That's found in More Science to America, who brought Islamism to these shores to uplift fallen humanity through the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know, he was born in the state of North Carolina in 1886. He was born in America. He is a Moorish American. Descendant of Moroccans, born in America. I'm a descendant of Moroccans, born in America. And here's Sultan Abdul Aziz ibn Saud, who at the time of this pamphlet was 1927. He was the head of the Holy City of Mecca. And yes, that Saud name is related to Saudi Arabia today. So Prophet gave honors to him. Let us know that was an important brother for us to know about. He was the head of the Holy City of Mecca when the Prophet was in the flesh, and these two brothers more than likely met. And they had good understanding, working relationship. Praise be to Allah. Give honors to both of them. Honors to each and every one of you. Honors to all the seekers of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know, I know this is often a Islamic slant on things or whatever you want to call it, but what I'm about is about the uplifting of fallen humanity. What I'm about is learning and being and using the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice more in my life every day, so I could uplift myself and I could uplift others. You know, the Prophet said that if his principles are followed, America be the greatest nation known in the history of the world. So that's another thing that you could aspire to. If you aren't an Asiatic or Moorish saint, you could say, hey, if I listen to what my divine prophet Drew Ali is telling me, America will be great and the greatest nation on the earth, you know, and keep on going and lead us to be the torchbearer for humanity onward and onward, you know. Prophet loved America. He wasn't he said we are part and parcel of the government. You know, we support the government. That's what the Prophet said. Praise be to Allah. I just want to let y'all know that for all my non-Asiatic viewers, you know, praise be to Allah. Honors to y'all. Praise Allah. Again, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Tomorrow, Wednesday. And then we'll be doing one more on Thursday. And then it'll be Friday and I'll be making some shorts, etc. So praise Allah. Love to you all. Peace.